Thank you, Vedi, for the quick introduction. Before beginning, first let me take this opportunity to thank the organizers for providing such a platform to connect with the fellow industry experts. Also, let me introduce Mr. Shekar Reddy, who along with me would be the co-speaker today. Together, we are here to deliver a product masterclass on immediate payment service, also known as IMPS, and how do we leverage XML on IMPS platform. First, to begin with, let me start with the concept of the fast payments. So fast payments is defined as a payment in which the transmission of the payment message and availability of the funds to the end beneficiary, that is the payee, occur in real time or near to real time. Though many of us would believe that the concept of fast payment came into existence in the early in the first decade of 21st century, but many of you would be amazed that Japan, in fact, was the first country to launch fast payments back in 1973. This was followed by many great nations providing seamless experience through fast payments. And IMPS India was the sixth country in the world to provide fast payments in 2010 via the immediate payment service. Uh, IMPS was launched in 2010 by National Payments Corporation of India in collaboration with Reserve Bank of India and Indian Banks Association at the time when there was a need for real-time and 24/7 available fund transfer platform for Indian banking customers. Hence, it was created with a vision of providing seamless and convenient mode of fund transfer with just the minimal details of the beneficiary. IMPS offered one of its kind real-time platform, which is available 24/7 throughout the year. It addressed the challenge of the country's need for having a real-time payment product. Back when it was launched, the only available option for the general Indian public for their banking needs was NEFT and RTGS. IMPS went on to become the product that would change the way how India transacts. Owing to the confidence that the ecosystem has shown to the immediate payment product, immediate payment service, IMPS was able to clock more than 4.7 billion transactions worth 41 lakh crore in the financial year 2020. Currently, on an average, IMPS has the capability and processes 455 million transactions per month on an average, thanks to the 647 member banks and PPIs that are the part of the vast IMPS ecosystem. It is also to be noted that IMPS was rated as world's best real-time payment system in the year 2019 by FIS's Faster Payment Innovation Index. It outperformed the real-time payment products of 56 countries, and it was the only product to receive a rating of 5 out of 5, which is a great achievement. The volumes and the value of the transactions that IMPS has generally, has generated over the years is because of the various offerings that the product has to offer to make the customer payment experience more unique. So to start off with, IMPS was launched, it provided one of its kind fund transfer service just by inputting the mobile number and the MMID. MMID is a 7-digit mobile identifier of the customer who have registered for the mobile banking. So one could easily make a transfer just by inputting the mobile number and MMID. However, to expand the use of IMPS beyond a particular channel, option of making a fund transfer via the account number and IFSC was introduced, which is widely used today as we speak due to its easy accessibility across the channels. Urban to rural remittances is now a reality thanks to the business correspondents that are participating in the IMPS ecosystem, and they predominantly used to make urban to rural remittances possible. One of the most unique offerings of IMPS product, it has been beneficiary account validation. The functionality has evolved from a 1 rupee penny drop transaction to a non-financial validation option before making a fund transfer. So now customer using any banking channel can validate the end beneficiary details before even making a financial transaction. Now customer can also easily inquire the latest status of their transaction just by opting for check transaction services, which is a part of the IMPS service offerings. This service can be offered or can be availed from any banking channels and any timeout transactions or any deemed transactions, which are the outlier scenarios of IMPS product, that can be catered or that can be avoided through check transaction services. IMPS also acts as a platform for facilitating the last mile credit of the inward remittances that has been received from abroad, thanks to the instant settlement that the product has to offer. Now, all these offerings of IMPS can be easily accessible through any channels. IMPS being an omni-channel, IMPS being available on omni-channel platforms like internet, mobile, branch, micro ATMs, POS terminals, SMS, and IVRs. Now, the initial construct of the product was such that IMPS was built on ISO 8583 messaging specifications, which is considered as a workhorse of the legacy payments. And this messaging structure has been in wide use since the 1980s, because it was the most it was the most common platform for digital for creating any digital payment product. ISO 8583 platform has a rigid messaging structure which has a fixed format and data elements, which limits the accessibility, applicability, and scalability of the platform. So there were multiple attempts done by the organization to upgrade ISO 8583 platform to keep up with the latest technologies that has evolved over the years. However, with the emergence of the global standards like ISO 2022 platform, ISO 15022 platform for modernizing the digital payment infrastructure, ISO 8583 platform fits the notion of a one size fits all category due to the limitations that it has in terms of customization. Just as the way we communicate with each other has evolved throughout the years, from the older days of sending a telegram for communicating something to a modern day video conferencing, in a similar way, IMPS has also evolved over these years since inception, from being just a retail oriented product to now being a product that is widely accepted across the segments. So right now IMPS caters to all the segments, like merchants, like corporates, like retail customers, business correspondents, etc. And in the era where the digital landscape of the country is, has seen a rapid growth, the customer preferences are also changing more frequently. With IMPS usage being high across segments, which was visible in the previous slide in terms of the volumes that the IMPS product processes, it is prudent that IMPS move to an open standard specification, which is more accustomed to adapt and deliver tailor-made solutions for the users. Hence, considering the need of the hour, NPCI had decided to migrate their messaging structure for IMPS from ISO 853 version, which is considered as a traditional mode of sending communication, to a more unique and scalable platform like XML. We have Mr. Shekar Reddy over here, who is the subject matter expert for IMPS, technology. Shekar, over to you. Shekar, you are on mute.
Sorry. Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. Jay, just go to the next slide, please.
Sure.
Yeah. Good afternoon, guys. As the definition says, XML, it's a extensible markup language. We'll just discuss how it has evolved. It was a text-based flexible markup language that allows the data to be, self-descriptive, and it was a subset of the SGML, which was called as Standardized Generalized Markup Language, as is HTML. So, and this came into existence in February 1998 as XML 1.0. XML was designed to be a open standard or public standard, and it was developed by an organization called World Wide Web Consortium, W3C, which we call. So, and it was available as an open standard. Well, why we call XML as extensible? So everyone must be aware of the HTML, which was generally used to design, create those layouts, and finally create those web pages, right? So this XML, whereas XML allows you to carry your own, self-descriptive tags or the language that suits your application. It's a self-descriptive message format that consists of the tag value pairs. I mean, it's just like HTML, but this was designed to describe the data, whereas HTML was just static, right? So XML separates the data from HTML. XML carries the data, but that does not present it, right? XML, I mean, the definition goes like XML allows you to store the data irrespective of how it will be presented. So XML tags identify the data and then they are used to organize data, which actually, simplifies your data sharing, data transport, or, increases your data availability and simplifies your platform change. Jay, next slide, please. We'll we'll discuss about the advantages in this slide. Uh, as I said, when the XML was designed, it was designed to be a open standard or public standard. So why do we say it's open standard? Because XML uses a simple human language, not the compute language. Okay, it is readable, understandable even by the novices and no more difficult to code than HTML. The XML specification that we have designed for IMPS or available easily for adaption, implementation, and even to update. As this is open standard, these can be continuously modified to meet the growing customer needs and bring value to themselves and to their customers as well. The second advantage being, this XML being completely tech independent. Tech independent in the sense it is not platform or technology or operating system independent dependent. It is completely tech independent in the way of storing, transmitting, or sharing the data. So the data sent in XML format is accepted anywhere without any issue. XML is completely portable. Any application can process the any application that can process XML can use your information regardless of the platform. And the the next advantage, being the rich data flow, wherein it allows you to provide the opportunity for increased data carrying capacity, which with the rich data specification you can provide large amount of information to your financial institutions or then customers for improved identification of the originators and the beneficiaries for the payment instructions. And the last but not the least, the efficiency, right? Because XML, through XML, in the IMPS product we support straight through processing. Straight to processing in the sense, you can process an order without any human intervention. Like, I can take a typical example in a payment world where you have the authorization and the settlement leg, right? Whereas now currently, if you see in our network with the XML coming in, the settlement is also near real time settlement, your analysis, your fraud reporting, data analytics reporting, or the any other reporting. These are all near real time. So this allows your processes, make your processes more efficient, and thereby you can save the cost as well. Incurred on having different products with different architectures. Jay, the next slide. Okay. The major, we'll discuss the major challenges that that we had with the ISO 8583, which made us to look at XML. Typically, the ISO 8583 was on a persistent connection, right? Which in the normal client server architecture, where I give a port to a bank and then bank connects on that port. So that connection is always persistent, and the TCP packets flow in, right? Whereas the XML, we made the communication completely asynchronous, which is asynchronous non-blocking API calls over an HTTPS protocol. It is just fire and forget. So, this allows you to, utilize your hardware resources very efficiently. And also, you can have multiple use cases of, or, multiple, even this product can run on a typical cloud environment, right? I mean, just a VM with a VM and on a sitting on a physical host. Then the second one was on the security side, where on the ISO 8583, it was a clearly a open TCP packet which was traveling between the client and server. Whereas on a typical this the XML communication, this is always happening on a the secure TLS 1.2 protocol, and with every payload being digitally signed with a class 2 certificate from a trusted source, thereby protecting the transaction from any cyber threats or man in the middle attacks, because it is very very complicated, because the keys that we use in the the SSL offload is of 2048 bit. And then the third one, the ISO 8583, which we are aware, right? It's a legacy payment standard which is used for most of the card payments in the world, typically. And it follows a typical bitmap format where each data element is given a position indicator with limited fields and fixed lengths, whereas XML doesn't have any limitations on the number of fields or the size of the data. And finally, these days every application is getting onto the XML. Then you can have you can again you bring in your efficiency and save on the cost by having same frameworks for your organization, or same resources and the skill set can be used for supporting even this particular product, which has a direct impact on the cost incurred by your organization. And then why again one more major advantage is these days majority of network providers are moving to the XML. So it straight away allows you to support the cross border for those countries which are already giving a support on the XML. Yeah, thanks Jay.
This is great, Shekhar. I mean, this is going to help or benefit to the ecosystem of IMPS, the stakeholders involved for processing IMPS transactions in a very positive way. I mean, there are multiple benefits for fintechs who are involved in providing IMPS solutions to their customers, to the banks who offer IMPS services to their clients, be it retail, be it corporate, also to the end user. It has several benefits, for migrating to the open standard specification. Fintechs would have more open source APIs, which is easily customizable to suit their customer needs. It XML would allow quicker modification in any of the API offerings of IMPS. Also, this would help them to scale up the APIs at a global level, since that most of the global payment since most of the global payment transactions that happens on the API based platform like XML. This would be a big benefit for the fintechs to globally use such APIs. Also, because of the enriched rich data carrying capacity that the product has to offer, many additional details about the payment, from invoicing to final settlement, all that can be incorporated over and above the APIs that IMPS offers. For banks, they can easily customize any service offerings as per their customer business needs. The speed to market of any new initiatives of NPCI for IMPS product can be faster delivered to the customers. Also, this would allow banks to have an access on the transparency on the source and the destination of funds, because through XML we have included all the major details about the source and the benefit and the destination parties that are involved for a transaction, so that banks can have a major hands-on on the customer data for monitoring and reporting purpose. They can have an automation in their, they can have automation on their FRM modules that they have currently. And this is going to help majorly in terms of monitoring and reporting. It also gives opportunity for the banks for implementing new use cases, basis the data availability, basis the purpose of why a particular IMPS transaction has been initiated. Now since that it is available, now since that it would be available in the XML based IMPS version, this would give banks opportunity to explore more and more use cases. For customers, definitely, since through XML we are mandating the account validation, a non-financial account validation functionality, customers would have a big benefit out of this, because I can now securely transfer a fund to the end beneficiary without having to worry whether it is going to reach the end beneficiary. Because through account validation, before making a fund transfer, I can validate the Benny detail. Just like I can give a reference of like a VPA validation. If we input the VPA of the Benny, the CBS name of the customer gets reflected in a similar way before making a financial transaction. If a user inputs the Benny details, the user details, the CBS name of the beneficiary will get reflected. So I have some sense of security that the funds would be reaching the end beneficiary. So the wrong routing scenarios gets avoided to a larger extent. Also, check status functionality that I have recently spoken about in the previous slide. This would also act as a good benefit for the customers, because now customers need not to reach out to the banks or raise a dispute for their outlier scenarios where IMPS transaction has gotten timed out. Just with the help of a click of a button, any customer can ascertain the latest status of that transaction, so that he's certain that his funds, he's certain about the fate of its funds. Also, NPCI would, basis the customer segment offerings, NPCI will be able to cater to the segment based offerings because of the availability of the custom details about the customer who is using IMPS the most through the MCCs now that is available. That would be flowing in the IMPS message. Also, even though IMPS caters to the multiple use cases, we believe that migrating to an open standard specification will unlock the potential of already existing use cases. And it has the potential for this use case to outperform on the volumes that it has to process. There are several use cases for which IMPS is still used as a predominant mode of fund transfer, like salary payments, a merchant settlement, a loan disbursement, insurance claim settlement, credit card repayment, and whatnot. So migrating to an open standard specification would definitely unlock the potential that this use case has to offer. Also, to think upon the future of IMPS product, XML would act as a base for leveraging or implementing new functionalities or new solutions. For an example, UDIR. Through UDIR is a unified dispute and resolution tool that would be available, or that would be built upon the XML messaging specification, and would be directly available for the customers to raise their disputes. It would help to reduce customer complaints to a larger extent, because customer themselves would be having an access to the platform which would be able to resolve their transaction dispute in real time. It would also provide seamless reconciliation experience to the banks, because banks need not to worry about the unsettled transaction, because that would be automatically taken care by the APIs that UDIR would have to offer. UDI would seamlessly resolve any disputes by instructing the beneficiary bank to reverse the funds or credit the funds to the beneficiary in real time. This in turn would provide a positive experience to the customers who are using IMPS the most, like corporate partners, merchants, retail customers, whoever are using IMPS. If they are having any disputes, just like their fund transfer is getting settled in real time, through UDIR, their disputes would also resolve in real time. So that is what we are trying to achieve by leveraging XML for building a platform like UDIR. Also, XML would provide a benefit for the ecosystems, because through IMPS XML, we are trying to achieve an active setup, not just for NPCI but also for the beneficiary banks. So the success rate of IMPS transaction would be 100%, because the scenario where a beneficiary bank is offline is completely eradicated, because both the sides of the beneficiary bank would be 100% available with the active setup. Technical declines would come down to a larger extent, which means that the success rate of the product is going to increase. It would be a positive experience for everyone. Also, NPCI is open for solving any industry problem statements that the fintechs of the world and the corporates or the banking partners might be having. That can be now resolved via IMPS as a platform. So this was all of it from our side for today's session. Thank you for being a very polite audience. We are open for addressing any queries that the forum has to with regards to the masterclass that we have just presented.
Thank you, sir. It was indeed a fascinating session. We'll use these few minutes now for any questions that the audiences have. Just give us some time.
Sure. So I can see a question on FRM part for IMPS as a payout solution. So through IMPS, see any transaction flow of IMPS involves a certain checks that are done by NPCI before passing it on to the end beneficiary. So basis the availability of the details about the source and the originator of the funds, NPCI has certain validations on their FRM portal, which is an automated tool for identifying whether the customer to whom the fund is going is a potential threat or not. So there is a risk score which is designated to each and every source as well as the destination party of the IMPS, basis which there are certain validation at NPCI switch to reject a particular transaction where the beneficiary who is involved is a high risk customer. Similarly, that data gets flown to the remitter bank also. The risk score of the beneficiary or the risk score of the remitter gets passed on to the banking partners also. So banks can have their own set of rules basis the scores that is defined by NPCI. That is how we can we can leverage on XML for building a solution on the FRM part. There is also one more question which asks, how does its functionality differ from NEFT? So NEFT and IMPS both are a different, the product is relatively same. The only difference between NEFT and IMPS is that IMPS offers immediate settlement, whereas NEFT offers batch settlement. Any transaction on IMPS is settled and credited to the end beneficiary within the span of 30 seconds, whereas in NEFT it happens over batches. So these are some of the settlement related difference that NEFT and IMPS has. There is one more question on how to leverage XML. I mean, why is it that IMPS platform is leveraging XML and not JSON? Shekar sir, this is something that you would like to take up.
Yeah, all right. See, XML, is more structured than the JSON, which was more verbose, right? And even as a W3C recommendation, yeah. Sorry, yeah. XML has its own. There is a. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, we are.
Yes,
Yeah,
Shekar.
yeah. Sorry. So, yes, there are, I don't like, JSON, data transfers are, data packets are lesser when compared to XML. But, XML is, more structured than JSON. And, XML has the W3C recommendation as well. And, XML's styling language, it helps you transform the XML to different formats. Like XML can convert to a HTML or a JSON, but JSON doesn't have those language, and XML has its own query language. and JSON has few simple data types, but whereas XML allows you to design your own dialects of the format or design your own data types. These are the few examples where we have decided we'll go with XML. JSON has its own advantage. What we could say is the packet size is lesser, but from a uh, yeah, I think Jay, have explained. Yeah. The next question.
So we'll take on the last question.
Which country?
Which countries have already adopted IMPS as a solution? So let me just clarify that IMPS is a product that caters to the domestic fund transfer within India. However, there are many banks and many money transfer operators based out in overseas outside India who has this tie-up with the intermediary banks within India. So their need for settling foreign remittances is instant, and the intermediary bank in India are responsible for receiving the funds in foreign currency and then passing the final credit leg via IMPS railroads. So that is how that is how there is a great adoption when it comes to settling the domestic leg for a foreign remittance.
Thank you, sir. That was indeed an enlightening session. We now know that the XML migration for the IMPS really has a very bright future ahead. We would also like to thank all our esteemed speakers, our moderators, and our audiences. It was an honor to have all of you here for the Global FinTech Fest 2022. We would also like to thank our partners, our co-agenda partner Lyra, Paypoint, our session partners Speedzai, Bureau.id, Rico, our gold partners Jogata, Payten, Innovity, and Beams VC. Thank you once again. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.